You know what they say.
Fallout is a fine game, which aged, I would say, a little bit interestingly. The whole community of Fallout seems to forget about the first two parts, or four if you include the games that we don't talk about. No, they don't exist, what are you on about? Which, personally, I think is a big shame, as in my opinion Fallout 1 and 2 are one of the greatest games ever made, only obscured by the number of bugs, turn-based combat, and Monty Python references.
Who are you?
We are the knights who say...
Join me as we will go on to a journey filled with despair, bleakness, and worst of all, Californians. All seen throughout the eyes of a boy that had been thrown his head when he was young, reducing his speech capabilities to basically a death metal vocalist. Fallout is set on the worst place on the planet, 84 years after a nuclear war devastated the northern hemisphere. Our character, as one of the luckier ones, was assigned to a nuclear shelter called Vault 13, and all of this is fine and dandy until one day the overseer of the vault approaches you and tells you that the vault is running out of the e-girl bathwater, and if you don't get a replacement for it in 150 days, the vault residents will realize that Twitch is a waste of time and thus will ruin the vault and its economy. Negusi the First has drawn the shortest straw and has to venture outside, and the only hint that you are given is that there's a different vault nearby, Vault 15 to be exact, which has spare replacements, or at least some information about it. And so we come to the gameplay proper. However, before that, I would like to highlight the character creation process. As you can see, we have three primary choices in the character building. Their special stats, skills and their attacks, and finally their traits. Special points are the most important as they dictate what you can and cannot do. Like for instance, if you have low strength, you cannot carry that much stuff with you because your carrying capacity is like 5 and you collapse as soon as you pick up dust. And if you hate yourself, you can always drain your agility points, leaving you with like 3 action points per turn, making you borderline useless in combat. Skills are self-explanatory. The bigger the number is, the more effective you are at a certain thing. You can be an effective doctor and heal your crippled limbs, be a good sneak character, get spotted even if they are invisible, or just be good with guns and solve the problems the Doomslayer way of exterminating your way out of trouble. In addition to all of it, you also have the option to tag skills that you want to specialize in, increasing their starting levels, giving you some stuff at the start of the game, for example you get a medkit if you tag Doctor. And finally, it increases your income of points if you choose to increase them later on during level ups. Finally, we have traits, which are wacky mutators that make the character, and in many cases the game more, let's say funny. For example, you can pick up Bloody Mess, which will demonetize your YouTube video, a no-brainer in form of Gifted, or Jinx, which converts some of your RNG to make you or your opponent miss and lose their turn. You are limited to only 2 traits, and unless you want to change them via perk later on in the game, you are stuck with them. Personally, for this playthrough, I went with Jinxed and Gifted, because Gifted is literally the meta for the first 2 Fallout games, and Jinxed, well, I wanted to make the game funny. We land outside of the vault entrance, which is a cave filled with rats. Like true gamers, we simply avoid them, because who would waste ammo on rats? Like, come on, they only give you 25 XP, it's not worth the time unless you are min-maxing for some reason. And so, we see the sunlight for the first time in our lives, and make our way towards the Vault 15, but along the way we stumble across a village of Shady Sands.
Good day, I'm called Seth. How can I help you?
Wubba lubba dub dub!
Oh my god, another retard. First Ian and now this guy. Why am I even a guard at this point?
Shady Sands is a community built by people from Vault 15 who, after using a device that will become a MacGuffin in subsequent games, kickstarted a prospering settlement. The leader of it, Aradesh, is a pretty chill guy and despite my problems allowed me to stay in the village. Other than that, there's also the first companion you can recruit, Ian, who is a retired NKVD officer who isn't afraid to load a couple of bullets into you while you are looking the other way around. And honestly, that's it if it comes to Shady Sands. Of course you can ask Seth, the leader of the guards, to take you to the caves filled with brim with rat scorpions. Like, come on, we've barely crawled out of one. And besides, I don't exactly have equipment to take down 9 oversized scorpions. Instead, I'll make my way to the south, to a clan of raiders. Raiders, or rather clans of the New California as they are properly called, are yet another group originating from Vault 15 who are less than friendly compared to Shady Sands, but still somehow don't shoot you on sight for some reason. Regardless, Khans are a raider gang that is supposed to kidnap Arash's daughter Tandy, but since their leader has an extra hole in the head, I averted that crisis and wiped the entire gang off the map. And here I would like to highlight two core features of the first two Fallouts, namely the turn-based combat system and the encounter system. The combat system is quite simple. Depending on your agility, you get a certain amount of action points, those green lights that are on your HUD. Each action, that is walking, attacking, opening inventory, or anything else in between, will cost you action points, and if you run out of them, then your turn ends. Easy enough. You can attack your opponents in few basic ways depending on your weapon. You can single fire or burst fire, punch or kick or reload your WMDs. What is most unique about the Fallout combat is the faint VAT system, which allows you to aim for a certain body part. My advice? Save scam until you hit the ice crit. This will usually either kill an enemy or weaken it severely, making it either flee or leave him lobotomized. Whilst this mechanic is probably my favorite part of the combat system, I can't stress enough how unfair the RNG is sometimes. Sometimes you have a 95% chance to hit an enemy, only for you to miss critically, and then the enemy, which you could have one-tapped so is dead. But then again, it's probably my fault for playing with Jinx straight. The encounter system is the most tedious mechanic that the first two Fallouts have in my opinion. But how it works exactly? Well, each tile in the game has an assigned encounter pool, and with good enough luck you can avoid some of them, but even with max luck, thanks to Gifted, I could not avoid the cycle of falling into the same family of rat scorpions over and over and over again. One of the most infuriating areas to travel through is the Californian Central Valley, for reasons that will become apparent soon enough. This isn't all to the encounter system though, as the special encounters are also present. Those are dependent on your luck, once again, and are references to pop culture, like this giant footprint or the collapsed Nuka-Cola truck, a parody of Coca-Cola, which make me oddly rich because haha, 10 lakh go brrrr. Actually, I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm just going to say that I've never spent this money. It's almost as if nobody wants to sell things to a retard. Anyway, going back to the adventures of our favorite brainlet, we discovered a hub, the Fallout equivalent of Korea. Hub is a trading center established in some backwater city that wasn't nuked, at least that much. It's managed by the Hub's Central Council, consisting of LG, Samsung and Hyundai. Those are responsible for keeping the status quo. However, with the merchants constantly disappearing in the west, the fate of the town is in question. But honestly, we don't care about that, we are here for shopping. And here I have to tell you something. Since I only have 2 intelligence, unfortunately almost all side quests are unavailable to me. Deathclaws threatening the hub? Well, tough luck. That gun? Yeah, it's not available. And Harold tell me about his expedition?
Jeez, you're worse off than I am, friend. Luck to you.
Hell, you can't even access the Brotherhood bunker or anything like that, so forgive me if I'm skipping locations like Lost Hills or Junktown. And since I promised myself that I won't be using any kind of chems, unfortunately I won't be able to show you the gameplay of those locations because, as I said, I'm too stupid to join the Brotherhood! Moving on, we land in what San Francisco will become in about 10 years, Necropolis. It is filled with ghouls, both glowing and not glowing, and honestly, that's about it if it comes to place, unless you want to talk what's beneath it, as Bakersfield offers an extensive system of tunnels underneath its streets, where you can for example get a plasma pistol, one of the most powerful weapons if it comes to one-handed weapons. While exiting out of tunnels, we can stumble upon a watershed, which is guarded by very towering humanoid creatures called super mutants, powerful opponents, most of the time heavily armed. However, as of this first encounter with them, they are armed with 1 razor rifle and 1 flamer, which would be okay, but then you remember that there are like 6 of them, which makes you question the sanity of their leader. Turns out that the mutants were guarding the water pump, as well as an entrance to another vault, Vault 12. This one is overrun by glowing ghouls, which aren't much of a threat honestly. They just punch you, and since I have a metal armor, they can barely even deal damage to me. Moving on, we massacre ghouls that were standing over random merchant's corpse and find a functioning computer that allows us to get a water chip. Voila! Quest complete. We can all go home.
Have you found the chip? Oh, that's great. Can I have the chip, please? No, not that. I want the computer chip. No, the chip. Just give me the chip.
No, get some.
Thank you. Now, go to the library and rest for a while, okay?
Kill.
Yes, you can touch things. Oh, yeah. It's like this. There is a bad place where the bad mutants come from. It is bad. Vault is good. Please, go destroy bad place.
And here is where the second part of the game starts. Someone would say, where the real game begins. As our reward for obtaining the water for the vault, we have been sent to deal with another problem. Those big and scary mutants that we had the pleasure of battling in Necropolis. And frankly, this is where the game turns a new, much more frustrating leaf. From a single trek to Bakersfield, you have to go to Mariposa military base and yo-yo from it to LA. In my case, multiple times because I'm not only stupid in game, I'm also stupid IRL. Anyway, the first stop is the military base, currently governed by an army of super mutants that is led by the Lieutenant of Unity, an organization led by Richard Gray, aka the Master. Unity is an army of mutants that basically wants to dip everyone in everything into vats of Mountain Dew, resulting in peace and prosperity in the wasteland, which is pretty bad since mutating is, you know, not really healthy for your skin last time I heard. Mariposa is a one big slaughterhouse, with highlights being those 3 mutants standing guard literally on the entrance of the base ready to blast your ass sky high. This weird room, which must have taken ages to clean to such perfection that you can literally fall down on your face for like 10 damage, and finally, the last level of the complex where Lieutenant and the highest heads of Unity stay. Long story short, after abusing corners and safe scamming, all of them go down and I explode the base. Welcome to Boneyard, aka LA, which honestly is an accurate name. I wonder why won't they change their name to that. Boneyard is divided into several parts, with most of them being thankfully not hostile to you. First, you have the Adytum, a settlement that is occupied by regulators who are in conflict with other groups of the former Angel City, namely the Gunrunners and the Blades, and the moral dilemma of this place is to choose between Blades and regulators. The main quest is to either storm the Adytum, which I believe is the largest battle in post-apocalypse that was ever shown, yes, even larger than the conflicts that Bethesda had shown, or just kill Razor, the Blade's informal leader. Other than that, we also have Gunrunners and followers of the Apocalypse, both groups being on the wayside of the location's main conflict, but still very crucial to your average playthrough, as the Gunrunners will allow you to choose from pretty much the best vendor in the game, and the followers will allow you to infiltrate the final group of the Boneyard that is shown in Fallout, the Children of the Cathedral. The cult of the Cathedral is the intelligence arm of the Unity, infiltrating almost all critical locations of the game, from Mariposa throughout the hub and ending on Necropolis. Their HQ, being the Cathedral, go figure, can be dealt with 2 main ways. You either go in guns blazing and destroy everything that moves with or without follower support, or you could do what I did and instead do it the sneaky way. Back in the followers HQ, there is a pretty unassuming room that is filled to the brim with ropes of the cult, allowing you to Uno reverse card on them and infiltrate them instead. Once inside of the church, you can steal the COC badges from this guy and get into the back area. From here you can get to the highest floor and meet Morpheus, who is the cult leader because he has a Greek name. Anyway, we steal his badge and go to the lowest floor to open the door that leads us to the basement and thus the vault where the master resides. Remember the Mariposa? Well, it would have been like 86 times worse, but thanks to our disguise, we can pass. Well, kind of, as we still need to take down the guards that are guarding the vault door themselves, but after that, as long as you literally don't bump into a mutant, you should be fine! There are generally 3 ways to kill the big bad boss. First is to just shoot the goddamn thing. The other one requires you to discover that the super mutants are sterile, but that requires Brotherhood, so that's out of the picture for me. And the final one is the most sneaky, as if you had looted the key from Lieutenant's locker back in Mariposa, you can destroy the whole Cathedral thanks to an A-bomb that is for some reason planted over there. And yes, I can understand that this is a worst case scenario, but don't you think that it's a little bit odd that a prophet blabbering on about mutants being the most peaceful is using nukes? Anyway, we arm the nuke and GTFO out of the facility, the whole church goes boom, and there, you win. Game over.
The death of the Master was the first major step towards ending his mad dreams of making a utopia, where flying cars are a norm and poverty doesn't exist. Without the vats of pure Mountain Dew, no more mutants were ever created, and the remaining mutant armies fled to the east, beyond the no man's land. The ghouls of the Necropolis were very puzzled at their sudden lack of water, and soon enough their city succumbed to dehydration despite not even needing to drink or eat. In Shady Sands, Tandy and her father, Radish, helped to establish a new community and new life out of the corpses of the Kens. They are responsible for the creation of the new California Republic, a nation that is doomed to repeat the past.
Wait, who the hell are you? You're not in the video? Get the hell out of here, Gizmo! I don't even know who this guy is, honestly.
Thanks to your need to gain early game experience and loot, the Kens are destroyed as an effective raiding force and are disbanded. However, there are rumors that some of the members had survived and had retreated to hills located to the northeast. Your lack of intellect and accidental victory over the mutants is well documented by future historians. Only a single question remains unanswered. What happened to you?
Stupid Vault and stupid Overseer. I'm going to find my own community, and it will be more prosperous and more safe than Vault 13. I'll show the Overseer who's the boss. I am Negusi. I am the boss. Yes!